Yo, what's up, guys? It's Shady here, and today we're here with our Week 2 game of the APA Academy Season 2. This week we're going up against Coach Kohan X and his Reno Raikous. Of course, we did lose last week in a very close game against TTM Sticks, and hopefully we can bounce back with a win for our team this week after kind of pulling them last week. After week 1, we were second in the standings as a team, and we were behind the Tie-Dyes, who I think went like 6-1 or 5-2. I think we went like 3-4, so we weren't too far behind. But you know, still every win matters, and so us not winning last week was, it hurt our team. Hopefully, like I said, we can pull out with a win this week. Obviously, we are on Showdown because we did DC towards the end of the game, and we did need him. We did need to recreate, so that's what we decided to do. So I'm gonna quickly go over the team that we are bringing here. Actually, I probably could go over both of our teams. I still have the same exact team as last week. No trades have been made. I got the Lugia, the Ash Greninja, the Megazord X, the Florges, Milotic, Snorlax, Hitmontop, Regi-Stealing, Rotom, Rhydon, Gourgeist, and Azelf with my Z, Rotom, Gourgeist, and Azelf. Whereas Kohan has a really scary team of Mega Latias, a Blaziken with Speed Boost, Scizor, Clefable, Thundurus T, Jellicent, Drapion, Steelix, Acelgor, Pelipper, Kingdra, and Virizion, with his Z-Mons being Thundurus T, Kingdra, and Virizion. So you can see the team that he decided to bring and the team I decided to bring. I decided to bring an Ash Greninja with the Splash Blade, with Hydro Pump, Dark Pulse, Water Shuriken, and the Surf. I was able to run Modest on this team. Hydro, obviously, for our main stab. Water Shuriken in case he brought like Blaziken, and it's nice for priority. Dark Pulse for our other stab, hits things like the Mega Latias. And Surf because of the Hydro Pump, in case I didn't want to risk miss, or in case I was running low on Hydro Pump PP, because Ash Greninja run really hard against his team. Next we got our Lugia, pretty physically defensive, with Psychic, Recover, HP Fire, and Defog. I didn't really like a lot of our Defog options on this team this week, or Rapid Spinners. I mean, the ones I decided to bring here was Florges, which I really didn't think I could bring Defog on. I felt it was really pressured to bring other moves, and the Charizard, which I just did not bring Defog Charizard. So I did have to bring the Defog on the Lugia because I did think that the Drapion might come, and I thought T-Spikes would be nice. I thought Rocks might come because of my Charizard. So that's really why I decided I needed Defog, Psychic obviously for our main stab, Recover, Defog, and then HP Fire to hit that Scizor, so that Scizor just couldn't set up an SD on us for free. And then we're also holding the Charty Berry in case the Blaziken came, because it could have Stone Edged us and they would have done a lot, especially at +2. Next we have our Charizard with Flare Blitz, Dragon Claw, DD, Roost. Because this league is not first turn Mega, I felt there's a lot of things I could have just not Mega'd on, and I could have probably taken advantage of that and gotten some DDs up at +2. The only things that took a hit on his team was an Unaware Clefable and a Fizz-Dev Jellicent, which still took almost like 95%. So even if we just got a tiny bit of chip, that would have been enough for us to really just break through his Kohan's team. So I did think he would bring the Unaware Clefable, and you do see it on the screen, at least Clefable. So that's kind of what I'm thinking that Clefable is. Next we have our Florges with the Babiri Berry, with Moonblast, HP Fire, Aromatherapy, and Wish. Pretty specially defensive to help deal with like Thundurus, and some of his other special threats. Like I said, I couldn't really run Defog on our Florges because I felt it was really pressured to run Aromatherapy to stop in case he got T-Spikes up and he toxicked a few Mons on my team. The Wish, obviously, to Wish Pass into other Mons and to keep Florges itself healthy, and the Regi-Stealing. Moonblast, obviously, for our main stab, and HP Fire in case the Scizor tried to set up for us. I have the Babiri Berry as lure, and hopefully we can take out that Mega Scizor. We have a just completely specially defensive Regi-Stealing, just meant to specifically deal with that Mega Latias. Iron Head, Seismic Toss, Toxic, and Stealth Rocks with the leftovers. In my eyes, he had like 5 moves that he probably wanted to bring on his Latias, and obviously only get 4 moves. I thought both stabs had to come to touch my entire team well, because I did have a Fairy type in Forges, and I did have a Psychic type, or a Dark type in Greninja, so he couldn't lock himself into 1 move. And then he probably wanted to Calm Mind, and then recover, and then either sub or refresh just to stop Toxics. So I thought that Regi-Stealing could probably stop it. I assumed that Gohan would bring Calm Mind, 2 attacks, and then either recover or refresh. And so Regi-Stealing can break a sub with Seismic Toss always, and it can Toxic if I get the sub down, and it should be able to beat any Latias set he decided to bring, where to attack, Calm Mind, and then either recover or refresh or sub. So yeah, that's why we're bringing that. Seismic Talk and Wish. Iron Head obviously to touch that Clefable, and Stealth Rock just to get him up against his team. Stealth Rock chip could be very, very nice, and it helps with a bunch of rules with my my Charizard, to where maybe I only have to get the +1 to KO his team. And lastly, we got our Milotic, which is pretty physically defensive, just meant to take some of the pressure off of Lugia, with Ice Beam, Scald, Recover, Toxic. So that's the team that we decided to bring against Gohan. He decided to bring his Thunderous, which I thought would just be a setup Z user probably. He'd rep the Drapion, which I thought would be a Toxic Spike set. Pretty offensive. Drapion did look pretty good against my team. Clefable would be an unaware set for my Charizard. The Mega Latias, like I said, it's some kind of Calm Mind set. He had to decide 4 out of 5 of the moves, or he had to pick 4 out of 5 of the moves that I think he'd bring. And so once I find out what kind of set he is, that'd be really nice for us. The Steels, I didn't think had a good matchup. I thought it might come specifically to set up rocks, and that's all. So that's kind of why I'm thinking he'd bring in that. And lastly, we have Virizion, which I didn't really think about. But I do, of course, have my Lugia in the back, which can always take on it. So I decided here to lead off with my Milotic, because I did think that he'd lead Steel to set up his rocks, and so I thought it'd be pretty safe, or he'd lead Drapion to set up his T-Spikes. So that's why I decided to bring it. We're going to be playing on normal speed, just to help me talk through it. So like I said, he is going to end up leading the Steels like I thought. I'm actually going to play on slow. That's a bit faster than I wanted. And I'm just going to click Scald, not going to over-predict. I thought about Ice Beaming in case Latias came in, but I decided to Scald, and he does go into the Virizion, and we are going to take the Scald pretty well. Or he is going to take the Scald pretty well. Here, I'm going to fire off an Ice Beam, just because I wasn't really too sure what this thing wanted to do. I thought maybe he'd over-predict or something. And so I do just fire off the Ice Beam, and he does end up just going for the Toxic pretty free, as I do Ice Beam. And based off that damage, I can see that's a kind of bulky Virizion. And here I'm just going to decide to go out into my Charizard. I didn't think he would quick Stone Edge. I thought there's no play, or no reason for him to. And yeah, I'm going to get my Charizard in for free as he clicks Synthesis. And here I just click Flare Blitz and pretty much claim a kill. Even a Fizz-Def Clefable would not really want to switch into 2. And if I had the Iron Tail, it just completely hurt his team, or his Clefable. So, we're going to be able to do that. I didn't want to Mega Evolve just yet. I wanted to wait, just in case I could set up on the Clefable, because obviously Moonblast would no longer be neutral. It'd just still be resisted. Here, he goes into his Thunders. Of course, it outspeeds. Here, I'm going to go through my Fortress, and he is going to fire off the Z Focus Blast, which is kind of what I thought he'd do, but not really much else he could have done against my Charizard, knowing that it would be able to Mega Evolve. So I thought that's what he might do, as he is going to click the Nasty Plot. I'm going to pause right here. Right there. So, here he clicked Nasty Plot. In the actual game, I clicked Moonblast, and I did about 50, a little over half, like 51% maybe. I didn't get the crit, and so in my eyes, I mean, I was able to live any move from him. Sludge Wave. Honestly, I thought he'd click Flash Cannon over Sludge Wave, but I could live Sludge Wave or Flash Cannon, and if he Flash Cannon, that's even better for me because the Berry. And so I knew I could live any hit, and I would be able to kill the next turn with a Moonblast. And so what happened in the game was he clicked the Sludge Wave. He did pack that over Flash Cannon, which makes sense. And I I ended up living it on about, I think it was 7 HP, and which was a max roll for Modest. So he got the max roll, and we still lived. And he ended up clicking, I ended up clicking Moonblast to get the kill, and he ended up living on 1. I ended up getting his sets after the game, and it was a 62% chance, I believe, for me to OKO, or not OKO, to a KO. So I ended up getting a low roll. It's not like a super low roll or anything. I mean, 62% isn't like a crazy, like, oh wow, like, it's not nothing like 90% or something like that. Like, it's not like the craziest thing. But now my Fortress is pretty much dead. I have to sack it off because I can't stay in against a nasty plot, or I can't really switch in to anything on a nasty plot. Thunderous. So like I said, you can click Sludge Wave here. I am going to live it here because I didn't kill it the game before. I just decided to click the Aromatherapy. It is going to cure my Milotic of its Toxic, but just the way that the battle ended whenever it DC'd, I didn't think Milotic would ever come in anyway, and he agreed. So we didn't think the Toxic would matter. If it did, then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But it ended up being fine. Here I'm going to go into my Greninja here. It's pretty free, and I am just going to be able to click the Surf here. I didn't want to miss Hydro Miss, as he is going to go into a Drapion here, and I am just going to be able to 2KO it. So yeah, that's fine with me. I'm just going to be able to click Surf a second time and get my Battle Bond off. If he was a Spadef Clefable, he could have gone into that, but I doubt he was. I'm pretty sure he was physically defensive for my Charizard, and just based on the fact that I didn't go into it, that makes sense. Now let me click pause there too. Based off the damage, because I was Splash Blade Modest, to him, it could have technically looked like a bunch of low rules if I was Timid Specs. And honestly, he did not have a play otherwise, except for going into Steelix maybe, and just living on 1 and getting the Sturdy off, because of Sturdy, and then killing me from there, because I think, actually I was at full, so he couldn't have even done that. Otherwise he'd just be sacking his Steelix, and he probably didn't want to go Clefable, because Spec Surf hurt a lot. He wanted to save it for the Charizard. So, in his eyes, the only thing he could do is go to Mega Latios and hope that I wasn't Specs. Now, whenever I was running Calyx, I guess I mislooked, because I was pretty sure that Modest Splash Plate never looked like Timid Specs. And so he knew, in my eyes, I thought he knew that I was never Specs. Therefore, he just knew that he could live a Dark Pulse, which he could have because Mega Latios is super bulky, and he was just going to click Draco and pick up the KO on me. I didn't think there's any way he'd set up. And so that's why I was like, okay, I'm pretty free here to go into my Regi-Steal, and he's just going to fire off a Draco. There's no way he does anything else because he doesn't think, or because he knows I'm not Specs, and Dark Pulse is going to hurt, and Dark Pulse 2 KOs a Mega Latios, even if he's Calm Mind's up once. I 2 KO a max HP Latios with 2 Dark Pulses, even if you Calm Mind's after the first one. So he had to attack there. But obviously, as you can see here, he ends up actually just going for the Calm Mind. And so that was kind of my misplay in the battle. I didn't think it was a... I didn't think he would do that. So I'm going to go to my Regi-Steal. I do end up clicking the Seismic Toss in case he subbed on my Toxic. So I did scout for the sub. He is just going to keep Calm Minding though. So here I'm going to fire out the Toxic as he fires off another Calm Mind. And he is going to reveal the Refresh. So here I'm thinking, okay, he's Calm Mind. He's Refresh. He to attack, so he doesn't have Recover then. So I'm going to Toxic here just to pressure him to keep going for Refresh over and over again. I get my Rocks up because I had a pretty free turn there. And he clicks Recover. Which I didn't think he'd have. So that means he either doesn't have Dragon Pulse or a Dragon move or Psychic move. Meaning I'm just going to keep staying in and Toxicking and Seismic Tossing and just keep pressuring this thing. And just kind of see whether he has Dragon Pulse or like Sword Power. If he has Dragon Pulse, then that spells a big problem. If he has Sword Power, I can just go straight into my Greninja and just fire off Dark Pulses. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep recovering and Toxicking here, and Seismic Tossing, and just try to keep this thing as low as possible. Just try to maybe PV stall it a bit out of recovers. And I'm gonna miss the Toxic there. I landed in game, so he's just gonna refresh here, as I decided to click the seismic toss. I decided the toxic isn't that big of a deal anyway, because you're just going to end up refreshing it off anyways, so it's not going to make that big of a deal. And he is just going to click refresh as if there was a toxic on it. And he's going to reveal Dragon Pulse, which spells problem for me. At this point, I am thinking in my head, oh, this is a problem. I get the Iron Head crit, it doesn't really matter. He's going to get up to full at one point with recover anyways. And I'm missing another toxic. I didn't miss that one in game. And here at this point, I'm realizing I'm going to have to start timer stalling. Funny, because that's kind of what I had to do last week. But because of just the set I decided to bring, which I really still don't agree with. Had my Forges not gotten the low roll on the Thunders, this would have been a problem, because even though Forge would have been like at 1 and never gotten a Wish Up, he couldn't have done anything with his Mega Latias against my Forges. It would have pressured him out, and I would have known to Dark Pulse next time around. So, that's a problem on my part, but it was a big problem for Showdown, because obviously we're going to recreate on Showdown, and so thanks to the help of Dai, one of the admins, and Aaron, who has powers on the sports alternative of Showdown, or sports version of Showdown, however I want to say it, we were able to implement a 100-second or 90-second timer for me to click my moves, and Dai was running his own timer of where the match left off. Kohan was live calming, luckily for us, so that was good for us. And I'm just going to be able to continue my timer stall, since that's the only play I have at this point to win this game. So shout out to Aaron and Dai for bearing with me, realizing that's my only win con here, and helping me win this game. So I am going to be timer stalling all these turns. Obviously y'all can't see that, but I was taking 85 seconds for every single turn. Just bring timer as much as I can. And as you're going to see, I think it's right here, I just kept toxicking and seismic tossing and all that as he's trying to get himself into position. Here, he's going to misplay completely. I think he's going to get a little angsty, like he's scared of timer going off. And he decides here to click the Dragon Pulse to try to pick up the kill. And that's going to completely cost him the game, because of toxic and just constant seismic toss, he's not going to be able to, get both the refresh and the recover off. And so he's forced to switch out of his Latias, and that's pretty much like the game. He really can't do much from here. Here I'm going to go into my Charizard, because if he had even a little bit of special attack into this Clefable, he killed with a flamethrower, and I did not want to sack my Regi-Steal, because then we'd be tied 4-4, and then it came down to HP, which I'm pretty sure I still won. But just in case, I do decide to go into my Charizard, and of course, without having to Mega Evolve, I can't outstall it. He does reveal the Seismic Toss, which I actually did die to. I think I was at 47 HP, so I'm glad I swapped there. And I'm just going to be able to keep roosting. I'm still going to timer stall, even though at this point I probably could have just gone for game and just won. I didn't want to risk anything at this point in the game. Like, I had taken all the time to just timer stall him and do all that. And so at this point, I decided to keep the timer stall up. And Kohan, of course, is going to realize that he misplayed with his audience by clicking the Dragon Pulse, and he is just going to end up forfeiting. We had, like, I think 4 minutes left on the timer, and so obviously I could have gone like Lugia and roosted a couple times there. Thunderous died to Rock, so he could never switch that in to pressure my Lugia. He just was not able to break my team. Latias was the only thing he had left. Of course, since they got rocks up, Thunders could never come in. He didn't have any defoggers, spinners, anything. He was just relying on me, I guess. And that's going to end up being the game. So I told Kohan GG. Of course, not everyone is as accepting of timer stall in the league format. And honestly, I mean, I told him I was sorry. I always am sorry, like I was last week against Styx. I was sorry that I timer stalled. I know it's not enjoyable for people on the other side. I've been timer stalled, and it is kind of annoying, but it's a strategy. And, I never go into a match with the intention of timer stalling my opponent. But obviously, when it gets to a point where I have nothing left but the timer stall, like that's my only chance at winning, I'm going to take that chance, or I'm going to do that. Especially in a team format kind of league, such as AP Academy this season with the Civil War format. Obviously, I told Six sorry, and he had a similar reaction to Kohan, where they both were both pretty salty about timer stall. And I mean, Kohan, I especially felt sorry for it because I made him run through this entire thing of at first he was getting timer stalled on Wi-Fi. He was like, please don't do this, I live call him. And like I apologized, and I mean I apologized for it, but obviously I told him I'm still gonna do it. I mean, he could still edit, he could have post-com, sped up, whatever, and that he could have done that. And then once again, we had to get it all set up on a showdown again, and I know that was a hassle for him, and he had to experience it again. But I mean, this just goes to prove that just because opponent says there's no point in timer stalling in these kind of situations. Of course there is. If I think that there is any way that I can win a game, then I am just gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for the timer stall, even if it's like a small chance, as it may have seemed in this one. There's always a chance that your opponent misplays, or just that you out stall his team, and you can get the win, like I did this week. And so, obviously, we do end up picking up the win, 5-4, which ends up coming out to a +1 differential, of course. So we're now 1-1 +1. I'm not sure where that stands on our team because this is pretty early on in the week. He had to go on vacation or something, so we battled the Monday the week started. But yeah, I kind of did ramble on a bit at the end here. Once again, I did say GG to Kohan. I'm not really mad that he didn't say GG. I understand how he could be upset at timer stall. I know everyone's not accepting. But it is going to be the game. Next week we're going up against Coach Zombie. We are 0-1 against him. I think I've only battled him once, and he did beat me. But hopefully next week we can come out with a win. I know I was talking about it very, very briefly, and I'm not sure how we're going to be able to pull out a win. His team is very, very scary, but hopefully all goes well. Once again, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, though. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button, and of course subscribe, and make sure to check out all the other coaches in the AP Academy. Of course, I have every single one of them, all 23 of the other coaches, maybe in the 24th, all in the description below, as well as the commissioners and this and that. Let's have everything linked in the description, and we'll be back next week with our Week 3 battle for the AP Academy. I want to thank you guys so much for watching once again. I hope you did enjoy, and this has been Shady, and I'm out. Peace.